Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Hello, Internet. I am Niall.
And I am Nolan.
And this here is the New Fangled Motion Picture Show. And we're going to try hard not to cough into the mics. And tonight we are reviewing Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how much I keep almost calling this Cyberpunk because of the year being attached to it.
Oh,
because it's Cyberpunk 2020 was the original, and now Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out by CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
And so because this is Blade, see, I almost called it Cyberpunk again. Because this is Blade Runner 2049, just in my mind, like, I don't know, I just want to call it that. So, but yeah, Blade Runner 2049, starring Ryan Gosling, and
Harrison Ford.
I'm not. I hesitate to say starring Harrison Ford. It's really just stars Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford has second billing, but that's just because he's Harrison Ford. You know.
Anyway, so we're gonna start off with a spoiler-free review.
Forgot to mention that.
Spoiler-free review. Then we'll throw up a spoiler warning. Then we'll go into more in-depth discussion where there's full of spoilers. So.
Oh man, are there spoilers to be had in this movie?
Oh yeah. Well, I was reading. I read a review online that said that until the movie came out, because there was a lot of the media got preview screenings of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good sign if the studio is willing to put it out there as early as they did.
Yep.
But they were all told specific things you cannot spoil. And until the movie, like, if your review goes up before the movie is released, you can't talk about all of these things. Like this review didn't give specifics because that would have been spoilers, but just saying all the things that there's a whole laundry list of things they couldn't talk about. And having seen the movie after reading, or having seen the movie and then reading the review afterwards, I know based on what they didn't say, the things they weren't allowed to say.
Yeah. So, this is
and we're a little behind the 8 ball on this one because there's a lot of reviews out there, and this is a couple days after we even saw the movie.
But we just do these on movies we see regardless, so.
Yeah, and then we don't always get to them until a day or two later because we have lives.
We don't review movies for the sake of reviewing movies. We review movies as an excuse for us to just sit around and bullshit about the movies we've seen that week.
Right.
So, Blade Runner 2049 is a sequel to Ridley Scott's classic movie. This one is directed by Denis.
Denis. Denis.
He's
French Canadian.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve. Am I saying that Villeneuve? Is it Villeneuve?
I'd heard Villeneuve. I've heard Villeneuve. I don't know. But I know it's Denis.
Yeah, even when he says his own name, I can't catch what he's saying for his last name, so. Anyway. And I gotta say, I really think he did a very good job of capturing the feel of the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, the art direction in this is so like reminiscent of the original. It looks like they took the original and then moved all the tech ahead 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exactly like what it is. And then also another part of that is Hans Zimmer did such a great job of recreating the sound. The music of the original Blade Runner is iconic.
Yeah.
It has a sound to it that you don't see in any other movie. Or hear in any other movie, rather. And Hans Zimmer did a great job of recreating that.
And it's loud.
Yeah, like sometimes it even like drowns out some dialogue, but it's not like a bad thing because the dialogue in that scene isn't necessarily important. It's the emotion getting across,
and
you know what they're saying, but then like the music kicks in and it just ramps it up. So they did a great job of it. Just fits so well with Blade Runner,
right? And they weren't afraid to make this movie as long as the old one.
Longer.
Yeah, because it's 2 hours and 44 minutes long.
something like close to that. Yeah.
2 hours and 43 minutes according to IMDb.
Yeah, and like
You sat in the theater for 3 hours to see this thing, man.
and it doesn't feel like it's too long to tell the story.
No.
Although like a lot of things,
the original Blade Runner was just shy of 2 hours.
yeah. Things could be. You know what is funny about it is, you could probably cut a lot of that out if you shortened things, because a lot of shots go on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not sitting there like, God, when's this shot gonna go on? Just cut already. Because what it is, like a lot of reactionary, they'll have a conversation where there'll be a scene with a conversation, someone will ask another person a question, and they'll sit there and they'll mull their answer over. They don't immediately answer any questions. They just mull it over for a minute and then answer the question.
Yeah.
So it's like they really have it's like the character really has to think about their answer.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that takes so long is...
Yeah, and it shows you, like, the shots fixate on something for a while in a lot of cases, where it might be fixating on Ryan Gosling's face or an item he's holding or something, but it it focuses on that. It's not like, while the person's mulling it over, there's no cuts. It feels like there's very few cuts in this movie within a scene.
Yeah.
So
let's see.
But yeah, I mean they do a good job of capturing the feel of the original and like just sort of the bizarre nature of society at this point.
Right.
I think because I mean there was a lot of really just strikingly bizarre things in the original Blade Runner. And we're of course comparing this to the definitive cut of Blade Runner, which is the only one worth watching.
Well, the director's cut, the difference between the final cut and the director's cut are minuscule. The biggest difference is actually color treatment. Like they color corrected some things to be different tones. Yeah. But between them, there's actually a video I watched just yesterday about all the differences between the two, and there's very little. A couple of the scenes were changed to actually be more violent, like the scenes where the replicants are being killed. Yeah. They hold on to certain things longer, so it's more visceral, but yeah, the biggest differences are actually color correction.
Yeah, we're comparing this when we're referring to the original Blade Runner. That's the cut we're referring to is the definitive cut, because that's anytime either of us go to watch Blade Runner, that's the one we watch. And yeah, that's all most people watch anyway. But anyway, there's a lot of things in the original Blade Runner that were just particularly bizarre. Just from the way they dress to all of Sebastian's little toy things,
his nightmare circus.
Yeah, his nightmare circus thing, and stuff like that. And they do a good job of just like they do a good job of like really making this world feel weird in a lot of ways, like the way people are dressed and the way they act, and yeah. I mean,
one thing I found interesting is that they didn't modernize it in a way. So in the original, if you recall, in the original movie, there are advertisements for things everywhere. There's Atari, there's Coca-Cola, there's a big one, there's Pan Am. Yeah. In this, there's a Pan Am neon ad. Yep. Pan Am doesn't exist anymore, but it did in 1982, I think the original came out in.
Yeah.
In 1982, it existed. And so it still exists in Blade Runner 2049. And so there's an ad for Pan Am. There's this massive ad for Atari. Yep. Atari's not as big a company as it was in 1982. It was the big American company. But it's not... Yeah, it still exists, but it's not that big.
It was the big American video game company.
It still exists now, but it's not nearly as big. There's big ads. There's... Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I just saw this Pan Am ad. I'm like, Pan Am doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. One thing is not in this movie, though, as far as the sort of thing went that was very prevalent in the first one was the airship with the off-world colonies ad on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was all over that movie.
Well, weren't there off-world
running
colony
that
ads
ads.
still in this one though?
I think there might have been one,
It was like a billboard or something.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
but Ryan, I don't think it's a spoiler, but Ryan Gosling has an interaction with one of the with an interactive hologram ad at one point. It was a really interesting scene.
Mm-hmm.
We can get more into that in the spoilers because like that interaction is a pretty big spoiler.
Yeah, but it shows a clip from that in the trailer.
Yeah.
So that
The fact that he interacts with it isn't a spoiler, but what's said and discussed in that scene is a spoiler. So
right. Oh, the performances in this movie
yeah,
were all very good, and
Ryan Gosling looked like the direction was always look as confused as you imagine the audience to be right now.
yeah, I think part of that was he was trying to be distant, you know,
Yeah.
and so I don't know, but
Like,
I want to remark on Dave Bautista's performance.
Oh yeah,
Because people give him crap. He hasn't had like a whole lot of acting experience. Most of his roles have been bruiser type characters,
mm-hmm.
and then Drax. And people give crap for Drax performance. I'm like, what? That's
Drax.
Drax,
That's
though.
Drax, yeah.
And then, but in this, it's like this very like vulnerable performance. Like you can tell he's the sort of guy who he's huge, right? But he doesn't want to be violent.
Right.
He wants to just be left alone and live a peaceful life. And if you've seen the short film that
Nowhere to Run Nowhere to Run.
Yeah, the short film that was a prequel.
There were several little prequel movies, short films that were prequels to this movie, that explain, sort of like the state of the world and explain what the blackout event was.
Right, which is a big
which I think really does help in your understanding of this movie.
Right, they mention it in the movie, but they don't go into depth into what it was.
They just mention that there was a blackout event and that it was orchestrated by some replicants.
Yeah.
And that is what eventually led to Tyrell going out of business.
Yeah, the one that goes over that is an animated one. That anyway. So yeah, so if you are like me and you're at all a fan of Dave Bautista, he gives a great performance in this movie.
I think everyone gave a great performance. I don't think there was a bad performance in this movie.
No, I don't think there was. And I saw an interview with him where someone mentioned that like he gave really great performance, and he talked about it was basically the director who was very particular in what he wanted and very good at explaining the why of everything. He says, I want you to do it this way, but here's why.
Yeah.
And so he knew exactly what the director wanted from him, and he was able to just give it.
Yeah.
And he says other directors aren't as good about that. But Denis Villeneuve or whatever.
How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah, well, sorry, it's French. I don't know. Apparently he's very particular about what he wants, but he's very good at explaining what he wants and why he wants it. And so his actors just are able to give the performance that he desires from them.
Yep. There's a scene in particular that I think is a very good example of weirdness as well as great performances. But I want to mention that in the spoiler part.
Okay. As far as I think it really, you probably don't have to have seen the original to see this movie, but it really helps.
Mm-hmm.
To get the background and who these characters are and their relations to each other and why certain things are important. I doubt there's many people going to see it that haven't seen the original anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend this movie. Again, it is close to 3 hours long, but it doesn't it doesn't feel too long for the story.
Yeah, I mean,
like it feels like it needs to be that long to tell the story.
It definitely feels like a long movie. Like I realized about 2/3 in, I was like, "Damn, this is a long movie." I mean, I knew going into it was a long movie, but just like 2/3 through it, I remember thinking to myself like, "Damn, this really is a long movie," and not like it wasn't a complaint.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting bored and you're like, when's this movie gonna end?
Yeah, I wasn't bored. Like, when is this? You know, can we wrap this up already? It was just, you know, it was sitting there like, been sitting in this chair for 2.5 hours or whatever, you know, and
yeah, it
does. Yeah, it felt appropriately long.
Yeah, it feels like it needs to be that long to tell the story that it tells. But yeah, I mean, the movie's beautiful to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's great story, deep, makes you think. Great performances all around.
I would say that this movie is a heavier movie than the original.
Yeah, I think it is.
And it definitely goes excuse me. It definitely goes much deeper into the morality of replicants and like at what point is an artificially intelligent thing human?
Right. Yeah, I think so. And it because it follows the replicant point of view a lot more than the original does.
Yep.
And so I think it's about all we have to say before we can start spoiling things.
Yeah. There's a lot to be spoiled in this movie, so there's not a whole lot we can say without spoiling it.
Yeah.
But definitely I definitely recommend seeing it. If you in any way enjoyed the first one, or if you're like me and you in any way enjoy like the classic moral discussions that go along with the cyberpunk genre specifically, and like sci-fi in general, you know, I'm a sucker for all that kind of stuff. Definitely see it if you're into that kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so spoiler warning right here.
Boom, spoiler warning.
Yep.
Spoilers from henceforth.
Yes.
So that scene where his hologram girlfriend...
Oh, the sex scene?
The sex scene with his hologram girlfriend on top of that hooker.
That was really cool.
That was really neat to look at, but it was also really unnerving.
Yeah, so he's got this AI wife, Joy, and it's just like mass producing. There's ads for her all throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this hologram. He has this projector in his apartment, and so she's there. And then he later gets a projector that he keeps on his person, so she can appear with him,
right,
wherever. And it's just this AI. You can't physically touch it. It's a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So the AI decides that she hires a hooker, and so she like the AI overlays the hologram over the hooker, so he's like seeing her, but you see both of them, right?
Yeah, it's
and
weird,
so she's
like,
trying, it's like matching up her movements with the prostitute,
but
and they have sex.
Like it's not perfect. I mean, like, you know, so, like the hologram.
There's a little latency there.
There's a little latency. The hologram is, you know, especially when the hooker makes anything but the slowest movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really like I think it's a really good world building element that this is even a thing.
Right.
That this AI could, like, not just that you can overlay a hologram on top of someone and have sex with them and, you know, it look like someone else, but also that there's an AI that has enough emotion and intelligence to think about this, like to come up with this and want to do it and do it under their own initiative.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because Ryan Gosling is a replicant. We know that from the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
Not like right at the beginning, but just a couple minutes in, it's revealed he's a replicant. And all Blade Runners are replicants in this. Still don't know if Harrison Ford is a replicant. We don't know if Deckard's a replicant. That's never confirmed, but it's strongly hinted that he is. it's very strongly implied that he is.
Yeah.
But it's never actually confirmed. But we know Ryan Gosling is a replicant. And it's just funny because he's this artificial person. And then the only emotional connection that he has with anything else is an artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up, if anyone is at all familiar with the documentary on the making of Blade Runner that's on the Blu-ray and the DVD pack that has like 5 different versions of the movie. I forget anyway, there's a documentary on the making of, and it talks about in there the original script. They even storyboarded it, but they cut it out for time and money. But the way Deckard was introduced was basically the exact same way that K is introduced, where he goes to this farm where there's a replicant hiding out. He goes and confronts him, kills him, retrieves the thing with whatever body part is a serial number, and there's this dead tree in front of the house, the farmhouse.
Right.
And then gets this, and that was in there, and so they reused that element to introduce K in this. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I was watching it, I was like, oh man, this is just like from the original opening for Blade Runner.
Yeah, that was a good callback. Yeah, and that's Dave Bautista's character.
Yeah, Dave Bautista's the farmer. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But then that led to the whole mystery, because he finds a body underneath the tree, and I was like, how much you want to bet that's Rachel's body? And sure enough, it is. Oh, something I had heard or I had read on IMDb in the trivia portion, and usually the trivia things are really dumb. They're like, this actor and this actor in this movie, and they also appeared in this movie together. Like, who cares?
Yep.
But this one I thought was really interesting. And not being a much of a churchgoer, I would have never known it otherwise. And if it wasn't intentional, it should have been, because this is a really good piece of what was the word, like, not imagery, anyway, it's really good because in the Bible there's a woman named Rachel who has a son named Joseph, and remember, Kay takes the name Joe,
right?
So Rachel has a son named Joseph who was then sold into slavery, and as a replicant he's a slave.
Yep.
And he eventually becomes like a great leader of the Jews.
Yep.
And so that's kind of like the path that he takes. Of course, we find out he's not Rachel's son, but it's
although we don't really know for sure.
No, I guess we don't.
Just because that one character said he's not.
Right. It actually makes more sense if he is, but then, yeah, the story leads you in the direction that he is the son of Deckard and Rachel.
Yep.
And then he's later told he isn't, because he finds out these memories that are supposed to be fake. All replicants have fake memories implanted because they stabilize the replicant.
Yep. You
need memories to keep them stable. But he finds out this one memory is a real memory, and they tell you that it's not really. It is still an implanted memory, and it was this woman. The memory belongs to this woman, who's supposed to be now this replicant messiah, which doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess it doesn't make. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just, if they found her, what were they going to do with her? She is trapped in a bubble because of some disease she has.
Yeah.
Or an immune system problem she has. She can't leave this like enclosure she's in. And she's lived there her entire life. She would not be any sort of leader.
Yeah.
She could not be. So, I mean, what were they going to do if they ever found her? They couldn't make her their replicant messiah. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Yeah, and Because we just have one woman's say so that Ryan Gosling is not the child of Deckard and Rachel.
Right. And like the police are looking for the child because replicants are unable to reproduce, as far as anyone was.
Well,
knows.
Wallace, who's played by Jared Leto, who's taken up the mantle of creating replicants, because he's determined that humanity needs a large source of expendable labor, or slaves, to anytime it wants to make a significant leap forward.
And he wants to start colonizing more and more planets.
Yes, which he determines he needs replicants to do, but he can't grow them. He can't grow them fast enough. So he wants to make them able to reproduce, which he's upset because he can't get it to work, but Tyrell did. Like, he knows, I guess, he acquired Tyrell's records.
Yeah, which said that Rachel was able to reproduce.
Yes, and so he wants to capture the child, to presumably to study the child and figure out how.
Well, they only know that she even had a child because they found her remains, and there's evidence of a C-section and a damage to her birth canal or something that is indicative of a labor, like a birth canal was too narrow, and they tried to induce labor, and it just wouldn't work. So there was a C-section, and they find all this evidence when they exhume the body that's buried under that tree in front of the farmhouse.
Yep.
And they realize, and the serial number leads them back to it being Rachel. Because Jared Leto's character
Wallace.
Wallace has all the Tyrell records.
What's left of them after the blackout?
Yeah, after the blackout, that it had erased all the records.
So,
but not all the records, but there's some survived.
Very, like, what survived are fragments. A lot of it was damaged. Because the blackout event is basically a bunch of replicants who were on some other planet fighting a war, realized that they were fighting other replicants, and that Tyrell was just selling replicants to both sides.
Yeah, because there's only one producer of replicants, I guess. I don't know if there mentioned any other replicant producer.
Right, but they realize that we're just slaves to them to do the stuff they don't want to do. So these replicants steal a nuke and detonate it over LA, which causes an EMP wave to take out.
Was it over LA or was it over San Diego?
It might have been over San Diego.
Because San Diego is completely wiped out in this. It's just like a giant junkyard.
Yeah, but I mean, Vegas is pretty messed up as well.
Yeah, Vegas
is like a nuclear blasted hellscape.
Maybe it was over Vegas. Something, I don't know. We don't know everything that might have happened, but yeah, Vegas is.
But yeah, they use the EMP wave to take out all the computers, and that like wipes out a lot of files and data, including all the stuff held on the servers at Tyrell. And so all the files that Wallace has are fragments. Like, there's like a small clip from when Deckard's doing the test on Rachel.
Yeah. The whole point of this, though, was to wipe out the records so that the replicants could blend into society. They could escape. There'd be no records of who's a replicant.
Yep. And
because these are all Nexus 8s, which have a normal human lifespan, apparently.
Well, they had gotten... So, in the original movie, it's mentioned that... It's right at the beginning of the original movie, it's mentioned that some replicants went crazy and killed someone. That was the justification for the laws that would...
The 4-year lifespan.
That built in the 4-year lifespan. Presumably so that the replicants can't gain enough of their own experience and memories to develop the emotions that led to such an act. However, presumably, I guess, at some point, Tyrell convinces the government and goes, look, I mean, the replicants are stable, they're fine.
Yeah, well, somebody, I don't know if it was probably wasn't Tyrell himself, because he's dead.
Right, but I mean,
Tyrell Corp and
the organization,
the company.
not Tyrell.
Yeah. So, Nexus 8s, though, have human-length lifespans.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Ryan Gosling, who's also a Nexus 8, but he was created to be a Blade Runner to hunt down the rogue Nexus 8s that are... I don't know if he was made by Wallace, though, not Tyrell, so I don't know if he's Nexus anything.
Yeah.
But he's a replicant, and he's tasked with hunting down rogue Nexus 8s, because it's the Nexus 8s that are the problem.
Yep.
Because all of Wallace's replicants apparently are perfectly fine.
Perfectly obedient. And...
Yeah.
Which that is explained more thoroughly in one of those.
Yeah, one of those prequel
little shorts as well.
So yeah, it's this basically three sides trying to find the answers. It's Ryan Gosling trying to find them for personal reasons. It's the police trying to find it out for political reasons, and it's Wallace trying to find it out for financial reasons, basically. Who the child of Deckard and Rachel is.
Yeah. Well, the police are finding out because they're worried of the unrest it would cause if people found out that replicants could breed.
Right.
Because then you essentially at that point have
a person.
You have a person, which implies that all these replicants are slaves.
Right, well,
which is morally detestable.
Yeah, and even if the replicants themselves are still seen as objects, would their child be seen as an object?
Yeah.
Would that actually be a person? And then wouldn't it be morally right to let them continue to be slaves? Wallace is under the opinion that any child of replicant is still a replicant and would still be a slave. But the police lieutenant,
Robin Wright.
Yeah, Robin Wright's character. She's looking at this like
Jenny Gump.
Yeah, Jenny Gump. She's looking at this as well, would that child still be seen as such? And that would be problematic. There's going to be all kinds of fallout here that's unforeseen, so it's just better to keep order. It's better if this was just shoved under the rug.
Yeah, because she remembers the chaos and all the hatred for replicants from when she was a child during the blackout event.
Right. Yeah. So you see her. She has it's counter to our lead's goals. But you see the point.
Yeah.
And so yeah, being that our lead is himself a replicant, and we see that he is a slave, it definitely delves more into the morality of replicants.
Yeah.
And it more clearly defines that replicants are not robots.
Yes.
They are just genetically enhanced people grown in a vat.
Yep.
Whose
brains are still programmed for obedience and
right.
labor.
I saw an interview with Harrison Ford where the questioner he started asking a question about replicants as if they're robots, and he's like, "Well, hold on." Harrison Ford's like, "Look, a replicant is not a robot.
Yeah.
You peel back their skin, they look human. They're completely human.
Yeah,
they're just stronger than human.
It would be very easy for Deckard to prove to himself that he's not a replicant if they were robots.
Right.
Because if he just cut himself deep enough and found human bone there, he's not a replicant. If that were the case.
Right. And so, yeah, Harrison Ford explained how replicants are human. They're just genetically modified to better survive in these harsh environments and do this manual labor that humans are not, either don't want to do or not fit for.
And to be, by default, obedient to their masters.
Right.
So sort of strip them of their free will.
Right. So in that way, they're objectified. They're turned into objects. People don't see them as people.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said earlier, this definitely delves way harder into the moral issues that were touched upon in the original Blade Runner.
Yeah. One thing I thought was gonna happen but didn't was that so his AI wife, that actress who plays her, super cute, by the way.
Yeah.
I like
Anna
fell,
de Armas.
I fell in love with her a little bit. She's super cute. I was expecting that because she's so adamant that she stay with him, and you know she has him like move all her memory from his apartment computer to the little portable thing. And they showed all these scenes in the trailer of like her interacting with him, and even like the giant hologram ad is of her. And so I was kind of expecting that there was like a real her somewhere, a real Joy that was maybe a replicant or maybe a human, but whatever, that was monitoring him through the AI, and they would like meet in person at some point.
Nope. Ryan Gosling just gets shit on, essentially.
Oh god, yeah, he's like hardcore shit
like,
on.
Man, fake human K, you had feelings? Too bad.
Yeah. Oh, and when the replicants reveal, when the tells him that like, oh, you thought you were Rachel's child, and they're all like laughing at him, like,
well, they were laughing at him.
I mean, you kind of like the way she said it. You kind of tell that she was kind of like laughing at him a little bit,
yeah.
like you stupid bastard.
Yeah. You're not important enough to have been
right. And I really felt sorry for him there. But he kind of fucks them. He screws them back because they want him to go kill Deckard, so Deckard can't lead Wallace to them, and he goes and frees Deckard.
Yeah.
And takes Deckard to see the woman that is supposedly his actual daughter. Although it could be Kay still. Who knows?
Yeah. Again, we don't really have
the only evidence.
We have no concrete evidence.
Yeah,
that it's not Kay.
Though it does make sense in when she views his memory and she starts crying.
Yeah.
Because like, oh wait, that was her memory. The thing is that doesn't really mesh up with her story of her childhood.
We also don't really know that. We also don't really know that she was actually viewing his memory, or just viewing, like, or maybe looking at the reactions on his body and his face while he was thinking of that memory.
Yeah, well, even if she's looking at the memory, maybe she was just crying for his sake because it's such a sad memory.
Yeah,
because her story of like how she wound up there in her childhood don't really mesh with that orphanarium. I mean, that's what it is. It's not an orphanage. It's more an orphanarium.
Yeah, which is a Futurama reference.
Yeah, but it was a horrible place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, this guy's like forces all these kids to. They were like stripping apart a crashed colony ship or something.
Yeah, they're stripping apart. They were looking for, I think, was it nickel? For certain metals that they can like resell that's worth something. And it was I forget that guy. He was in Snatch, and he was in a few episodes of Walking Dead. He's a black guy and he's British, but he plays Americans a lot.
This guy,
yeah, Lenny James.
Lenny James.
Yeah, he plays Americans a lot, but he's British.
Yeah, he's best known for Saul and Snatch.
Yeah. He's running the orphanage, but
The orphanarium.
yeah, the orphanarium. But he keeps records, and like these records are like sent to the government and everything. So as far as the government's concerned, it's an orphanage.
Oh yeah, by the way,
That's horrible.
He's in more than a few episodes of Walking Dead. I know you stopped watching after like the second season.
Oh,
But
he
yeah,
came back.
He's Morgan.
Oh.
I haven't watched. What I know of Walking Dead is mostly through the miniatures game.
Oh.
And what
Yeah,
one of my
stopped
coworkers
watching.
would tell me about.
I stopped watching the third season.
Yeah, Morgan's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
Just put it that way.
Yeah, I stopped watching in like the third season, so he had only been in a few episodes by the time I stopped watching.
Yeah, but yeah, he plays Morgan. That's the actor.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so yeah, and then her story about like her as a kid, like she had some immune disorder, so her parents.
Well, yeah, her parents were gonna take their family to an off-world colony.
But then they found out she had this immune disorder, so she couldn't go. So they had to put her like in this bubble, basically, for her to survive and whatever. It doesn't.
And they left her.
I thought she said they stayed.
Did she? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't really mesh with having grown up in this orphanarium.
Yeah.
Unless they were her adopted parents.
Yeah.
That could have been it. Anyway, so the point is, we're told it's this woman. It could also be Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I'm still of the opinion that it is Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Personally. And that woman told him it wasn't him for his own like safety.
Or their safety,
safety.
So that they wouldn't like use him to get back to them, or
yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, we don't really know. So I was worried a little bit about this movie until I saw the trailers and saw that it looked pretty good, because when they were initially like starting work on this movie, they were like, there's all these proposals that they were going to somehow link it to Alien, which I would have hated.
Yeah.
Because first of all, like, years don't line up. Like, Blade Runner takes place in 2019. Of course, we're not going to... I mean, that was made in 1982. 2019 is still a little ambitious to have flying cars and whatnot. But you gotta stick with the 2019, so 30 years later, 2049. But Alien takes place a lot farther forward.
Yeah, the tech timeline doesn't line up either.
Yeah,
like you're trying to tell me that in 2019 we have flying cars and like genetically engineered superhumans, but like we're still using CRT monitors and like dot matrix OS systems in Aliens, and like some things that are like decidedly not real high tech, like the power loader and things like that. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't link it to Alien, and I really hope they don't. Well, they just drop that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a legitimate consideration that lasted, like that.
Yeah,
how long that was like legitimately being concerned.
I don't
considered.
know. Oh, one thing that was great. If you're aware of the book that this is based, that Blade Runner was based around, there's a little throwback to that, and Edward James Olmos' character Gaff,
who is the one who did all the origami.
He did all the origami
in the original.
And when Ryan Gosling goes to interview him, he goes to interview him about Deckard, when his investigation leads him to Deckard. And Gaff's like fiddling with something out of shot. It's like below the table and stuff. And he sets this origami sheep on the table.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't know, you have anything more to say about this movie?
Not really. This director apparently wants to do Dune.
Dune is a tough thing. I think it needs to be more than one movie because the story is so long.
Yeah.
Like the original movie, some people look at it and sort of like this. It's this cult classic. Our dad watches it every time he catches it on TV.
Yeah.
But the Sci-Fi Channel made a mini series, late '90s, early 2000s, I think, around 2000 maybe. That was better, I felt, because as a mini series, they had a lot more time to tell the story because it's a long, complex story, and you have to cut a lot out.
Yeah.
For the movie, and a lot of things are just glossed over with narration.
You know what they should do instead of making another Dune movie though? They should just make a 40K movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, people who want a Dune movie, they really just want a 40K movie. Let's be
Well,
honest.
what's funny is I always felt that 40K had to have been inspired by the production design of Dune.
Oh yeah.
It just looks like it.
Yeah.
Like so much from that movie looks like 40K. So I gotta imagine that the artists at Games Workshop are totally inspired by that movie.
Oh yeah. And like.
And
faster than light travel being attained by navigating using psychics that go insane.
Yeah, a lot of elements from that. And then what was that comic series that that Judge Dredd came from? Something 2000.
Not Twilight 2000.
80 2000. Yeah, like that. If you look at like old Games Workshop stuff, like the art looks like that, and that was all heavily inspired by the same sources. So yeah.
But yeah, but if some studio does decide they want to greenlight a Dune movie, because Dune did not make money.
No.
The original Dune lost a lot of money for the studio. So
Yeah.
if some studio does decide they want to greenlight a Dune movie, I think he could pull it off.
Coincidentally, Ridley Scott turned down direction of Dune and instead made Blade Runner.
That's funny.
Yep. Coincidentally. Yeah, Dune, to really do it justice, I think it needs to be a miniseries, maybe like some on HBO or Showtime or something. Could work.
Yeah, or like a Netflix show or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, go see this movie.
It's amazing to look at.
Blade Runner, not Dune.
Yeah, you can avoid Dune if you want. It's not that great. But yeah, like one thing I want to mention is like in the Wallace building, which is the old Tyrell building.
Yes.
There's water everywhere. There's like water effects everywhere, like behind glass and stuff. And there's just like no light. There's no like still light in that whole building. Like the light is constantly moving and shifting. So you have all these shifting shadows and then like water, like light reflected off water all over the place, and it's like,
That's how you get crazed gunmen in the workplace. Shit like that.
Oh god! And then Wallace's office, which he's blind, so it doesn't really matter. But being in there for any period of time would have driven me crazy, because it's just this water reflection off, like all over the walls, just like that.
Well,
moving...
and in his assistant's office.
Yeah,
as well.
But like that moving, rippling light everywhere would have driven me crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's all we gotta say. I definitely recommend this movie. It's getting great reviews. I think I saw a commercial.
It had really great reviews from the press previews.
Yeah.
In addition to getting really great user reviews, because I mean, there's a lot of sci-fi gets really mediocre critical reviews, and amazing user reviews.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in sci-fi. This has been getting great on both.
Yeah. And
I think IMDb has like an 8.5 on it or something like that.
Yeah, I think I saw like one of those commercials that, you know, gives throws like quotes from
8.7 on IMDb.
Quotes from reviews up, you know, and one of them says best movie of 2017 and all this stuff. So it's pretty good. I got to say there's going to be some there's going to be some
it is definitely a very heavy movie, so go into it knowing that it's going to make you think.
There's going to be some award nominations on it. I think definitely for art direction.
Yeah.
Like there's even the giant Atari logo on the poster.
Yeah.
Atari made the poster, guys. But yeah, I mean it's art direction and visual effects.
Yeah.
Score maybe. We'll see.
Yep. And it's
so
just at the beginning of Oscar season, so
yeah,
might actually get in there. So what's next week? Do you know offhand? I don't remember.
I don't remember. No.
Coming soon. We have Marshall and The Foreigner.
Oh yeah, The Foreigner.
Marshall is super duper Oscar bait the movie.
Yep.
And The Foreigner looks really good too.
Yeah.
So, we'll see one of those, I'm sure, and probably another one the following week. Because, man, unless you want to see Geostorm or Tyler Perry's Boo 2: A Medea Halloween, there is not a whole lot.
Do I?
Week. No, you don't.
No, I don't. Oh, I don't want to see either of those. They look awful.
They look really bad. So, and The Snowman looks like a good, like, horror thriller if you're into that kind of thing, which it's just not our thing. So,
I don't know if I want to go to the theater to see.
Yeah, so we'll probably see one of those. We'll get to a week late.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, God, there's a lot of garbage that comes out in October. And then we'll probably see Suburbicon after that. It's not getting a great
Which
meta score.
Oh wait,
that's that George Clooney directed movie with Matt Damon in it.
Yeah, where he like kills somebody or something, right?
Yeah.
I just remember like riding like a little bicycle.
Yeah, it's got a really weird trailer. I recommend going and looking at it.
It looks amusing, or at least interesting.
Yeah, but like that's the only thing that comes out the week before Halloween. So we'll probably go see that, I guess. Otherwise, check out our Twitch channel. It is everything_is_bad on Twitch. Check us out there. We've been streaming Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I think this week we'll probably beat it.
Yeah,
probably.
I think we'll be done.
Yeah,
it seemed like we're getting right up on the end. I thought we were getting up on the end last week, but then.
Yeah, that's why last week went kind of long. It's because I was like, oh man, I just like
don't want to like stop and then only play like 15 minutes later, right? No.
Yeah, but we got probably a whole chapter left. But
yeah.
So yeah, check that out there. And look for other future reviews. Look at our past reviews on stuff. We were one of like 3 people on YouTube to review Starship Troopers, apparently.
Oh, Starship Troopers, Traitor of Mars.
Traitor of Mars, yeah. Apparently, one of 3 channels to review that movie.
Go watch that movie, by the way.
Yeah,
that movie is so much fun.
It is.
I'm not gonna say it's a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
It's a very fun movie. Yeah. So check that out. We're gonna. We'll have more movie reviews for you in the future. So until next time, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Did a man's job, sir.